Storylines in Week 2, Tom Brady and Cam Newton continue to dial up yards as they both pass for over 400 yards. The first two quarterbacks in NFL history to pass for 400-plus in the first two games of the season. It's not getting any better in Kansas City. Jamal Charles now lost for the year with a torn ACL, and Detroit pounded them big time in that game. The Redskins, Bills, and Lions have all started the season 2-0. All three teams missed the postseason last year and finished with at least 10 losses. And then Michael Vick, beaten, bloodied, and battered in the Falcons' comeback win over the Eagles in Atlanta. Hi, everybody, and welcome into this edition of NFL Live. As always, glad you are here with us on this day. Trey Wingo here with Merrill Hodge and Tim Hasselbeck. Lots to get to, complete analysis and discussion about what went on Sunday, Week 2 in the NFL. But we begin with the injury to Michael Vick in that Sunday night game in Atlanta. Again, suffered a concussion and bit his tongue, and you could see him bloodied there. For the very latest on that, let's bring in Adam Schefter. Adam, we know he suffered a concussion. What more have we learned about Michael Vick today?
Trey, the Eagles are going to have to put him through a battery of tests this week. He's going to have to be cleared by a team physician. He's going to have to be cleared by an independent neurologist before he can return to football activity again. In the interim, Andy Reid said that Michael Vick slept late today, so he didn't have the chance to catch up with him today. If the Eagles have to go in another direction, Andy Reid says that Mike Kafka is the reason, that they believe that they are set at that position, that they'll be okay. They also have Vince Young coming back from a hamstring injury. So the New York Giants, who played tonight against the St. Louis Rams, have no idea which Eagles quarterback that they'll be facing on Sunday, Vick, Kafka, or Vince Young.
All right, Adam, thanks again. Some of the precautions the NFL has taken over the last few years. Let's show you how it unfolded as Michael Vick saying hello to Matt Ryan and Falcons owner Arthur Blank before the game. And, you know, the Eagles dominated a lot of this contest, but they did not block Pariah Jerry on this play. Ray Edwards has got it. And right about now, Tim, I think he ran out of gas.
Yeah, ran out of gas. I think he was going to tackle himself about the 20, but there comes Deshaun Jackson, able to get him from behind.
Great hustle play by Deshaun Jackson, but he couldn't stop a touchdown because a couple of plays later, Tony Gonzalez, my goodness, Merrill, the athletic ability at his age.
Yeah, you know what? He may not be as fast and quick as he once was, but the eye, hand, and just the overall athleticism and wisdom still there.
Passes Terrell Owens for 5th on the NFL's all-time receptions list, 14-10. Third quarter, Michael Vick to Jeremy Maclin and Dunta Robinson. My goodness, they had a similar collision with Deshaun Jackson last year. You can see he went in, not shoulder, helmet right to the chin. That's going to be a massive fine.
You gotta check your target zone. You can't strike anybody up around the head with your shoulder or with your helmet. It's got to be around the waist and number.
Maclin came back in, completes there from Vick on a first down, but here's the problem. Vick is down, and it's sort of eagle-on-eagle crime here as he's sort of whipped into Todd Harriman's, his own lineman, and you can see, boom, right there. That's where he bit his tongue, the concussion. He was done for the night. Vince Young, as Adam was telling you, already out with a hammy. So here comes Mike Kafka, the young rookie not the rookie, but the young quarterback out of Northwestern. And when all else fails, LaShawn McCoy is a good option. Right up the middle, 31-21. Mike Vick goes to the locker room. Fourth quarter now, Falcons down 31-28, and the running game took over. They finally got him on a big one, Merrill.
Yeah, boy, that wide nine to give you the end. They got that inside. And they get a beautiful seal to the inside, a kick out on the outside, a dig in the middle with the linebacker, and you've got 255 pounds coming at you.
Yeah.
Not a good sight if you're a defensive back.
No, and this was the capper here, the touchdown. Falcons take the lead 35-31. Turner 114 yards on 21 carries. Eagles ball over 4 minutes left. Kafka looking for Maclin. Tim, that's a heck of a throw for this kid.
Yeah, it's a big-time throw when you've been on the bench for most of the game to come in and make a throw down the field like that. Excellent job by Mike Kafka.
Maclin had 13 receptions, but here's the game. He needed a 14th. Kafka on 4th and 4 hits him in a perfect spot. You couldn't ask for a better throw, and it goes right through Macklin's arms. Ryan and company hang on to win. Falcons take it 35-31.
We're not going to fudge anything. If he's injured, and we move on. And I know he wants to play. I mean, I talked to him at length after we met the media, after I met with you guys. I had an opportunity to sit down with him and talk to him, and he remembered everything, recalled everything.
I'm going to meet with him after this, try to get him in here and see, and if I can If I think it's appropriate, we'll get him at least the MRI today, and then if he's as good as he was last night, I'll start some of the impact testing.
And again, the process now begins, as Adam was saying, a series of tests for Michael Vick. Let's go Samsung next level here. Vick has faced a great deal of pressure as the Eagles QB over the past 2 seasons. In his 13 regular season games with the Eagles entering Sunday night, Vick was under duress, includes sacks and hits, on 26.8% of his dropbacks. Against the Falcons, Vick was not sacked, but was under duress on 9 of his 29 dropbacks, or 31%. All right, Merrill, how does having Vick behind center affect everything on this team? We talk about Peyton Manning not being there for the Indianapolis Colts and how it changes everything on both sides of the ball. Same kind of effect here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, well, now, if you think of, how they want to – let's look at defense for the Philadelphia Eagles, how they want to play. We just showed you, how they run a wide 9. They get after the quarterback. They're going to play the run on the way to the quarterback. Well, who does that? The Indianapolis Colts do that. They're going to get after the quarterback. Well, that puts an enormous burden on your offense and then, therefore, your signal caller. That's why Peyton Manning has been so great and offset so many deficiencies, because he understands all of that. Well, now, that's where Vick has to go to his next level. He's got to understand that. And it really comes down to being judicious with the ball, not just from the pocket. There's going to be some interceptions. I get that. It's when he leaves the pocket and he holds the ball with one hand and fumbles are happening from that. That's where he's got to get better. You can't turn the football if you're going to play like this. You've got to score points. You've got to move the ball at worst case scenario and create field position. He's got to do a better job of that when he comes back, of managing himself better within the turnover scenario if they're going to keep playing like that, because teams are going to run the football on them like that. They're going to get some gashers. But now you've got to be able to respond offensively to match up to what you're doing defensively on the other side.
Yeah, that's a concern for the Philadelphia Eagles. The other area of concern is the play of the linebackers and the play of the safeties, especially in the passing game. Mary, you talked about on the highlight, Tony Gonzalez, not the same type of athlete that he once was in terms of, the speed or the quickness, but still plenty good enough to beat the Eagles at the linebacker and safety level. Look at this with Jamar Chaney. That's a mismatch there. Look at Gonzalez able to beat him over the top and go up and get the football. Great play by him, but really not very good coverage. And you're going to see here again, Tony Gonzalez coming off the ball down the bottom of your screen. He's able to widen Page the safety. And then look at what he does here. Page is lined up outside. He's going to outside release to kind of widen him even more to get distance from the free safety, and then just bodies him up. That's not a contested throw for the Atlanta Falcons, because Page is out of position. And then here, they're going to hold the linebackers with the play action. They're going to scheme block it, pull the guard. That just freezes them that little bit. There's Tony Gonzalez coming in behind that linebacker level. So really, when you look about attacking that Eagles defense, it isn't about going outside and challenging Asamoah or Asante Samuel or guys like that. It's about attacking them at the linebacker and safety level.
Well, listen, that wide 9 split that they use, where was Babin and Trent Cole, are so far out there and almost like a Usain Bolt track stance. Obviously, you can get gashed, but there were times last night, especially Trent Cole, he had his way sometimes crashing in and slowing down things with Michael
Well, that's
Turner.
a good point. They did do some adjustments. The Rams gashed them so bad, and they anticipated the Falcons would do that, so they did close those ends. They did try to close it down, but boy, when it came down to that critical drive, they lined up wide, they gave them the alley, and the Falcons took it.
And Michael Turner put the big one on him, 60-plus yards that set up his short rushing touchdown. The Eagles get the Giants next week. And speaking of the Giants, what to watch for tonight on ESPN, Monday Night Football, Rams at Giants. Giants have taken the last 4 meetings in this series after the Rams had won the previous 5. Rams are looking to avoid an 0-2 start for the 5th straight season. Coverage of the game begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern. Time for team reports from DirecTV. And for the very latest on that, we check in with Susie Colber. Hello, Susie.
Hi, Trey. You know the headline for this game are the injuries, but also who the Rams and the Giants expect to step up. So let's start with Steven Jackson, the one-man wrecking crew for the Rams. He's a game-time decision with a quad. If they are fortunate enough that he can go, offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels said they'll have to be really sensible about how much they can use him. And Cadillac Williams had a great week of practice, and the coaches raved that last week Steven Jackson was out after the second play of the game, and you know how the number 2 guy doesn't get many reps. Well, Cadillac came in. One mental error, which really tells you what kind of a player he is. Then there's wide receiver Danny Amendola. He's the go-to guy. A lot of the offense runs through him, the leading receiver for Sam Bradford. And Bradford said, really no one guy could take his place. Hopefully it'll be a group effort. But one guy to keep an eye on is rookie wide receiver Greg Salas out of Hawaii. They like his feel, but yet he's still rookie. And then on the other side for Eli Manning, he's still talking about the offensive identity and his personnel out on the field. Victor Cruz was just not getting it done last week as the third down guy, the slot receiver. So they signed 13-year veteran Brandon Stokely, and he and Manning go way back to the Manning passing camp. Stokely was one of the original counselors, so they know each other well. There's a comfort level, and they really expect him to be able to help tonight. We'll also keep an eye on wide receiver Hakeem Nicks. He has a bone bruise on his knee. He practiced pretty well on Saturday. He really wants to play. Likely Trey, he'll be out there. A little bit of help for Eli.
Susie Culver, you're a true professional. We salute you. Thank you. Much more later on the Monday night game. Plus, we've got an update on Tony Romo, and it's good news if you're a Cowboy fan. Plus, Tom Brady, this just in, he's really good.
Not look at what Philadelphia is doing and be impressed.
It's just brilliant in the way that they put it together.
The Eagles have reached agreement with former Titans quarterback Vince Young.
Waiting for his payday. Who's ready to show Namdi the money?
To the Philadelphia Eagles.
Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie in a trade. Jason Babbitt, Akeem Jordan, Holland Jenkins, Ronnie Brown signs with Philly.
Oh, dream team.
You guys comment about dream teams and all that stuff, and then players coming in talking about it. And right now, we got a lot of good-looking guys standing around watching.
The AFC wildcard Denver Broncos climbed to the top to pull off an upset over the favored Green Bay Packers.
Second and goal from the one. Elway.
Denver running back Terrell Davis rushed for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns to become the MVP. With this victory, the Broncos ended the NFC's 13-season Super Bowl winning streak. In 1999, no one was surprised to see John Elway and his Broncos back in the big game as they took on the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 33.
Down deep the middle of the field. Rod Smith got it.
Elway completed 18 of 29 passes for 336 yards and a touchdown and ran for another score himself to clinch back-to-back Super Bowls for the Denver Broncos.
Super Bowl 33 is history. The Denver Broncos are world champions once again.
This Week in Baseball covers the major leagues like no one else. Get deeper into the game and see MLB like you've never seen it before. Check in on the Fan Cave.
This place is awesome.
Learn the proper technique.
Fundamentals, youngsters. Keep working at it.
And catch all the top plays. Plus, with in-depth weekly features, Twib is your source for all things baseball. This Week in Baseball, all season long on ESPN America.
Pack them up, go home.
Well, this time last week, we were all talking about Tony Romo can't get it done. It's not going to work. He's the Achilles heel for the Dallas Cowboys. And then they played another game. Tony Romo and company all the way out in San Francisco. And Carlos Rogers comes behind on the blitz and hits him and hit hard in the back. Rib injury for Tony Romo. Now, he would initially stay in the game under 2 minutes left. Romo to Miles Austin. Miles with the ankle breaker and 53 yards. Romo, the first Cowboy to throw a touchdown pass in 20 consecutive games. The Cowboys down 14-7, but the medical staff looks at Romo, and as you can tell, get out. He's not happy. They take him in. John Kitna now in the game, and Kitna, that one's deflected, and it's picked off by Tremaine Brock. Kitna's second interception of the game, and then Tony says, I'm taking off the cap, and I'm putting on the helmet. And he comes back in. 24-14, the Cowboys down. Romo to Austin. Tim, unbelievable athletic play by Austin to get in.
Great job going up and fighting for the football, but then the presence of mind and the ability to get in the end zone before going down.
Romo hurting on the sidelines, cut it to 24-21. Talking to Jesse Holley, who'd never had a catch before this game. Remember, no Des Bryant. Hits him there. 2 catches on the drive. They get a Dan Bailey field goal to go into overtime, and on their first possession, Jesse Holley, the star of the reality show 4th and Long. Instead, it's 1st and Long. Oh, a little premature with the way he held the ball, but unbelievable as Dan Bailey comes in after that on the very next play, and the chippy goes, and that's your game winner. Cowboys rally around Tony Romo and win 27-24. But what is the very latest on the health of Tony Romo after that gutty performance in San Francisco? For more on that, let's listen now to the words of Ed Werder, who has more from Valley Ranch. Ed, what can you tell us?
Well, Trey, according to a source, the CT scan performed on quarterback Tony Romo revealed he suffered one fractured rib, not two, as the team had feared based on the x-rays taken during Dallas's victory over the San Francisco 49ers. The Cowboys believe that Romo will be available next Monday night for their home opener against the Washington Redskins. A week ago, Romo was nationally criticized, portrayed as a failure as people questioned whether he could lead the Cowboys to a championship after his 2 fourth-quarter turnovers lost the game against the Jets. His teammates offered support then, and he delivered for them Sunday with the kind of performance his teammates always expected.
Well, he didn't show us anything. We knew all of that. You know, when he plays bad, y'all tell the guy that he sucks and he can't win games in the fourth quarter and all of that stuff. The public perception after the Jets game was that he was the worst quarterback in the history of the Cowboys. And then this past week, he's the best. He can play through injuries now. He's tough. He can finish at the end of a game. He can bring a team back when they down. They shouldn't win a football game. So it changes from week to week. We kind of get that from you guys every now and then. Now, next week he probably has to do the same thing, or he'll be back to being the worst guy to play.
Even if Romo plays, he'll be leading a compromised team. While running back Felix Jones is expected to play with a separated shoulder, I'm told wide receiver Miles Austin's hamstring injury will likely keep him out the next 2 games. This team seems to lack the sense of entitlement associated with other Cowboys teams. Players credit head coach Jason Garrett for that, a career backup quarterback who managed a 12-year NFL career by keeping himself ready. Running back Tashard Choi said Garrett doesn't even refer to anyone on the roster as a backup, that when there's an injury, Trey, Garrett sends in what he calls the next starter.
All right, Ed Werder, thanks very much. And after taking a beating against the Niners, Romo put on that gutsy performance, completing 75% of his passes and leading the Cowboys to that game-winning drive and a crucial road win. Romo played considerably better late in the game as Dallas scored 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter and overtime. And keep in mind, that San Francisco defense played pretty well week 1. And, you know, a lot of people think defensively is not the problem in San Francisco. They have some issues on offense. We all sat here and talked about it last week, what we saw against the Jets. We'd seen that before from Tony Romo. How important was this, Merrill, in your opinion?
I think it's the most significant thing that he has done for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's even the playoff win that he has had. Now, you know clearly in the locker room, Tony Romo has great support there, but it solidifies it. He will get more out of his teammates doing what he did. The only thing that can eclipse what we saw and what he did on Sunday, yesterday, is to win a Super Bowl. That is what he's got to do next. But to see the courage that he played with, having played with broken ribs, torn rib cartilage, I know how painful it is. To have just a cracked one, to be able to throw a football and come out there is a tough, tough thing to do. Shows a lot of guts and courage from Tony Romo.
Yeah, I don't know that it surprised the locker room like you're saying, and I don't think it surprised me or you or other people that have watched Tony compete in the past, but it certainly impressed us, and I think it will impress that locker room. The thing that was remarkable is he comes back into the football game, and he absolutely takes a pounding. I mean, he's picking up low center snaps from the ground, flicking them out before he gets hit and taken to the ground. You know, 300-pound guys falling on top of him. And what I think, and this is to your point, Merrill, about solidifying that locker room, as the season goes along and you have guys that get little nicks and bruises and they don't want to practice during the week because they're not feeling up for it. They don't want to play in the game that week because they want to rest and get better. They're going to look at their quarterback playing with broken ribs, and I think it ultimately makes that entire team tougher.
Yeah, you talk about that. You've heard that from other players before. If he can go out there and do that with what he's doing through, certainly I can find a way to get on the field, and the Cowboys will find a way to get Tony on the field if they can next week when they take on the Redskins on Monday Night Football. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots, well, we all continue to be in awe of what we're seeing from that offense. San Diego Chargers, tough spot for them. It was a home game, and Tom Brady started. He had won 28 straight of those in the regular season, and it's now 29. Rob Gronkowski is big, tough, and spikes the ball like no others. Not on this one, but on his second touchdown pass. That capped a 99-yard touchdown drive that put him up by 10. Just stop the show and run this highlight for the next half an hour, okay? Vince Wilfork hanging on to that ball like it's a turkey leg. He ain't going to get rid of it. What an athletic play. Unbelievable. And Norv Turner can't believe the interception. They go up 27 at the break, 22-7. Here was the Gronkowski strike. Watch this. Oh, you're not going to see it. But trust me, it was a big spike. That put him up 28-14. Always show the Gronkowski spike. Vincent Jackson here with a huge catch, his second touchdown of the game. That cut it to 28-21. And then when all else fails, Merrill, go to the ground in the law firm.
Yeah, look how they get movement to the left, and then they got push, lane seals. And this is what allows him to be the starter there, is because he's a decisive runner for the Patriots.
35-21, the final score. Boy, there are two ways to look at this. San Diego had so many opportunities early in this game to stay in it, Tim, and get with it. But eventually, we're seeing that precision-like accuracy for the second straight week from Tom Brady. This is almost 2007-esque so far, 2 weeks in.
Yeah, and I think the reason is you look at them offensively and what they're able to do with the two tight ends. You know, you get Gronkowski and Hernandez out there, and it creates all types of matchup problems for the defense. And you can't forget about Wes Welker, because he's going to run an option route in the slot. And so, Merrill, when I look at that offense, and you talk about Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, you have to worry about him when there's two tight ends in the game. But then when those two tight ends are in the game, they are so good in the passing game because of the matchups that those tight ends create.
Yeah. I think the only thing that can neutralize the New England Patriots is a great defensive line. That's what cost them a Super Bowl. And in the preseason, there was one team that was able to get after them.
The Lions.
Detroit. You know, a great defensive line where you can create matchups in the trenches and you can win consistently with a variety of guys is really the only way you got to neutralize Tom Brady. Because the one thing in all these highlights that is pretty consistent too, 4 to 5 seconds.
He's upright.
4 to 5 seconds, he is sitting in that pocket throwing the football.
And that's
way too much time.
That's something that the Jets were able to do in the division round playoff game last year when they went in there and took down the Patriots. By the way, you mentioned the two tight ends. Aaron Hernandez, one of those two tight ends, suffered a sprained MCL in his knee. They're expecting he might miss 1 to 2 weeks, so we'll see how the adjustment picks up. Well, they have two Gronkowskis, so maybe the other Gronkowski can fill in for Aaron Hernandez. I mentioned this is sort of 2007-esque. Take a look. Completing over 70% of his passes, a 7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and the one was a tip ball up in the air. If Brady keeps this pace up, well, there's no way he can keep this pace up, but it's ridiculous the pace he's on. He would shatter all kinds of records, including Dan Marino's single-season passing record, and eclipse his own record for touchdown passes, which was 50, set back in that unbeaten regular season year of 2007. When we continue to plow through this edition of NFL Live, the Kansas City Chiefs just taking the worst of it injury-wise. We've got the very latest around the league on injury news and big hits. That's all ahead. You're watching NFL Live from front to back.
College football lives here. Coverage starts with